Cynthia and John Callahan shared a lot of things: a love for adventure, sojourns to the most remote corners of Mexico, 2 sons, 2 daughters, and a beautiful life they created together. In over 50 years, they were able to call Aspen home. John grew up in Boston and New York City. John enlisted in the Army near the end of World War II as a member of the 82nd Airborne.
I was very proud to get my glider wings, my paratrooper wings. I went the way up in rank. I went up as high as private first class.
He also took up boxing at that time, ultimately fighting in the Golden Gloves and winning the title as AAU Amateur Light Heavyweight Champion for New York City. After leaving the Army, John obtained a degree in business administration at New York University, but New York could not keep him in place for long.
At the library, I was reading adventure stories, so I always wanted to be an adventurer. And whenever the opportunity came up, I would jump at it.
Without any experience, he signed on to crew a boat sailing to Puerto Rico, hopped rail cars to get out west, and rode his motorcycle throughout Mexico. Cynthia was born in Beloit, Wisconsin, and grew up on her family's dairy farm, where her love of horses and art took root. Always artistic, Cynthia studied art at Beloit College and later at the Art Institute of Chicago, the University of Hawaii, and in Mexico City. Cynthia met John in 1959 on a ski trip in Sun Valley, shortly after they had both returned from their individual adventures in Mexico.
And when we were in Sun Valley, my back was turned and I knew there was some young lady sitting behind us. This was after skiing. And my friend, John Banner, went around and was chatting with them. And said, "John, you've got to meet these ladies. This girl's been in Mexico." And I said, "Oh, I just came out of Mexico." And she said, "So did I." She was living down there. And we got along very nicely. And then I said, "Can we have dinner together?" And she said, "No, I'm meeting a Finnish ski instructor." And I said, "Well, maybe after dinner, just meet and talk." And she said, "Well, okay, let's try that." And anyhow, we did that. We met afterwards, and then, and I remember saying to her, I said, "This is only," I think I said like 55% certain, but I'm going to ask you to marry me.
Within a year, they were married, moved to Los Angeles, and in 1962 started a family with their first 2 children, John and Pat. Seeing the rapid growth in Los Angeles, they decided a smaller town would be a better place to raise a family and began to look to Colorado. Ultimately, they decided Aspen was the place for them and built a house on Cemetery Lane, then on the far outskirts of Aspen. Shortly after, their daughter Anne was born, followed a few years later by Nancy.
We settled into life in Aspen, and it was a much smaller town back then. I remember them waking us up in the mornings in the fall or in the spring or in the fall when they'd be running the sheep down Cemetery Lane or down Main Street.
Throughout their years in Aspen, both John and Cynthia were active in numerous organizations. Cynthia volunteered for many years with Aspen School District's Accountability Committee, the Aspen Thrift Shop, Aspen Historical Society, Aspen Ski Club, St. Mary's Church, and 4-H, teaching dog obedience classes for the children in the Roaring Fork Valley, as well as volunteering for the schools and other organizations whenever the need arose.
But she was busy with a lot of different things, and just in a more quieter way, but she was always engaged.
She was never ruffled. She operated on one speed, and she was calm, she was thoughtful, and she was very kind.
She also played host to numerous exchange students, their families, and the St. Lawrence University ski team, who would all stay at the Callahan house for their Christmas camp when Pat was their coach. She was also one of the leaders of the Roaring Fork Kennel Club and instrumental in bringing and hosting one of the largest and most popular dog shows in Colorado to Aspen. Cynthia always remained interested in art, and after her children were grown, was able to delve back into her artwork.
I was always amazed at what she could produce in no time. And she would sit down and suddenly have this amazing watercolor or oil painting.
She was president of the Western Slope Watercolor Society for several years, and her artwork has been shown and won awards in numerous art shows. After a stint managing the center at the base of Little Nell, John spent many years working at Buttermilk as a ski instructor, patroller, and on the trail crew in the summer, cutting the Racer's Edge, Javelin, Magic Carpet, and Rabbit Run trails on Taihack.
Some of those trees are old and they're warped. We were cutting right by Racer's Edge. And this tree was curled around. All of a sudden, the tree, instead of going down where it was supposed to go down, it went like this. It went up to the side, and it hit the lift, and the chairs spun around on it, and the cable jumped off one of the lifts.
He was one of the first Aspen ski instructors fluent in Spanish and encouraged the skiing company to promote skiing in Latin America. His affinity for Central and South America continues to this day, as he can often be found speaking Spanish with the Hispanic members of our community.
Love to speak Spanish. It sometimes got on your nerves a little bit because he kept introducing me as his father.
One of the early members of Mountain Rescue, he is perhaps the first person to be dropped by helicopter onto the Maroon Bells as part of a rescue.
We went out on lots of things, on drownings, avalanches, anything that people can do in the mountains, and they end up getting in predicaments. And so we took an awful lot of people off the bells.
His involvement with that group lasted for over 25 years and included hundreds of rescues. He also worked with Alfred Braun in constructing 2 of what are now known as the Braun Huts. John was a lifelong runner, a regular participant in the local running races, and helped found the Aspen Half Marathon, now known as the Golden Leaf Marathon. He also loved biking touring and made 2 trips down through Baja, first as a solo trip the year after the Trans-Peninsula Highway was completed, and a year later with his brother Ambrose and 2 young sons.
We all bicycled from San Diego this time down to La Paz in Baja. The boys were 13 and 15 and biked all that way alone, and they've been biking ever since.
Took us out of school for 3 weeks, and the teachers were all upset. And I can't tell you what we were studying in school, in 6th grade or 5th, 7th grade when I was that age, but I can sort of tell you a lot about what I learned in Baja.
He was a founding member of the Aspen Savings and Loan and served on the board of the Aspen Ski Club. John always loved his motorcycles, continuing to ride well into his 80s, and rode them to distant points throughout Mexico, the US, and Canada. Later in life, John volunteered at the Aspen Valley Hospital, greeting patients, their families, and helping put them all at ease in what could be trying times. The Callahans will forever be a part of the fabric of the Aspen community, so woven is their life with a town that was, for them, an incredibly special place.